Ludus, Vulpes.
Welcome to Ludus Vulpes. My name's Kirsty, and today I'm going to give you a little review of Savannah Park. So, a little bit of history about Savannah Park. It's published in the UK by Bright Eye Games, designed by Wolfgang Kramer, who brought us El Grande, and Michael Kiesling, who you'll know for Azul. This box and all the artwork inside has been illustrated by Anika Heller. So what's Savannah Park? In Savannah Park, you'll be moving your tiles around the board to build herds and make sure those watering holes are well positioned so that those herds score you points. There is also a variant in the game whereby you use a lion, which slightly complicates issues. So you can pick Savannah Park up for around about £30 depending on where you purchase it. How would I describe Savannah Park? In weight terms, light to medium. The main mechanism is tile laying or tile manipulation. It plays 1 to 4 players or more as demonstrated at the Aircon event. And the average play time per player is about 10 to 20 minutes depending on the player's experience. So let's talk about some alternative games that you might want to pick up for a similar price and weight as Savannah Park. The list is ordered by the Board Game Geek ratings. Firstly, The Crew, both versions, Quedlinburg, Azul, Cascadia, Cartographers, Ticket to Ride Europe, Welcome to, the original edition, El Dorado, Sagrada, Splendor, and let's not forget, Carcassonne. So from this list of games, there are 3 that stand out to me as being similar mechanisms. These would be Azul, Cascadia, and Carcassonne. So, how will Savannah Park fit in with these key games? Let's go and have a chat to Phil and find out.
Thanks, Kirsty. And Savannah Park is a game 1 to 4 players, as already been explained. During the game of Savannah Park, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be taking a tile off your board. Tile off your board? I thought it was a tile laying game. Interesting. As you set up the game, you'll lay all of your tiles, bar 2 on your board, and they'll be filling spaces that are empty spaces on the board, and then you'll have 2 tiles to place in either grass areas on your board. During the end of the game, you're going to be scoring for how many herds you've created, and you'll also be scoring for how many grass spaces you've got visible and how many tree spaces you've got visible. There's also some fire spaces on the board. They scare the animals off. So if you place animals next to a similar level of fire, that animal is going to run away critically before you move into the scoring. So let's have a little bit more detail there. So as you can see, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be bingo calling. So one person is going to pick a tile from the board, name it, and everyone else is going to take that tile off the board and reposition it somewhere on the board. A tile cannot be placed on fire or stone, and it can be placed on both trees and grass. However, covering those will lose you points at the end of the game. So you're going to flip that tile and place a little meerkat token on the space that's revealed, because you can't place the tile back into the place it was taken from. You're then going to move that tile over to a new location on the board, and at that point, that tile is locked in place. And what you're trying to do is create the largest continuous herd for each animal with as many watering holes as you can get in that herd. So there's a maximum of 3 watering holes per herd. And what that's going to mean is when you count your tiles at the end, if you've got maybe 5 giraffes and 2 watering holes, the 2 watering holes are going to multiply the giraffes by 2. So you're going to end up with 10 points for the giraffes. If you had 3 watering holes, it'd be 15 points for the giraffe. Let's take a sample round and show you Kirsty and I playing the game.
So we need to be quick.
So you join us here midway through the game with Kirsty to take her turn. As you can see, approximately half of the tiles have already been turned, and Kirsty will make her decision.
Okay, so I'm going to move the elephant and oryx.
So we both take that tile, place our meerkat in the space, and flip.
And then the meerkat returns.
And I'm going to put that one there. Now I am going to pick my wet ostrich.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to be taking his little slurpy slurp just down here. And then my meerkat goes back to his little burrow, because that's what meerkats do.
Apparently. Okay, next I'm going to go for the giraffe and ostrich.
Giraffe-strich, as I like to call it.
Yeah.
So meerkat goes in, flip and place, flip and place, flip and place. Or just hurl at the board.
And that's going to go there.
Yeah, it's a little early for me, but I'm going to have to cope, I think.
And he comes back.
And then I am going to play my zebra oryx ostrich tile from there.
Oh, forgot that one was there.
I have no good place to put it. I don't know why I picked this tile. It's stupid.
He's going to go from there, and he's going to go here. Okay.
So we thought we'd finish with a quick round of scoring. We thought we'd start with finish with a quick round of scoring. So quickly we'll go through how the scoring works. So we're going to follow this little track around here, and we're going to start off with the single fire. So we look at our single fires. Have we got any single animals placed around our single fires? Nope.
Nope.
They fine, they stay on. We then go on to the double fires. Have we got any two animal tiles around double fire? Uh-oh, I've got this double oryx. It's going to be taken off the board and put back in my box. If that's disconnected my scoring, that's a problem for me. It hasn't, so we're okay. Then we look at our three fire. Any set of three animals around those three fires? No. So then we go on to grass next. Every revealed grass tile will score you 1 point. I've got 1, 2, and 3. So I will score 3 points.
I've got 1.
And Kirsty has 1, going to 1 point.
Trees equal 3 points per viewing tree. So 1, 2, 3 times 3 is 9.
And I also have 1, 2, 3 times 3 is 9. So I move to 11 and Kirsty moves to 8. No, to 10.
Thank you.
I in fact moved to 12 because I was on 3. Okay, so now we start to score the herds, and we start with the herd of giraffes because we're going to just keep following this round. So we count our largest value herd of giraffes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 1.
Any other giraffes elsewhere? So you've got those 2 there and 2 watering holes. That's 4. So no.
Still think the 8's higher.
So Kirsty takes 8 points from giraffe, taking to 18 points. My giraffes go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times 3. There's all 3 watering holes are in that grouping, giving me 33 points. So 1, 2, 3, and that's 45. It's a big jump on giraffes. Giraffes don't jump, I don't think, but you never know.
You don't know. Elephants.
Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 with 2 watering holes. That'll be 18 points for me. So 63.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 with 1, 2, 3. 33.
33. 21 plus 33 plus 30 is 51. So there's Kirsty.
Emus, which I don't score very well on.
Ostriches.
Ostriches.
Neither do I.
Ooh.
So this is going to be a problem. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with 1 watering hole. 1, 2, 3, 4 with 1 watering hole. And that one doesn't count. So I'll be taking my 6 points. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can Kirsty beat me?
1,
she needs...
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times 1, 2.
That's 14.
So that's 14 points.
I don't think you got higher elsewhere. So 14. I don't want to do this. 116. Boom. Kirsty wins by 1, 2, 3, 4 points. And that is how you score Savannah Park.
So now you've seen how the game plays. Let's run through our opinions of Savannah Park.
Yeah. What an interesting little game. Surprisingly so, I thought.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Let's talk about how the game actually plays.
Yeah.
Because I was desperately trying to think of a game that has a similar mechanism. Obviously, the tile laying, there's lots of games with tile laying, but the calling out mechanism, I was really struggling to think of a game which has that.
Have you tried bingo?
Obviously, bingo, yeah. The only one I could think of which had a similar vibe was Tiny Towns, you know, when you've got the hammer and you are choosing which piece everybody gets.
Yeah, you got the master builder app.
Yeah, And for me, it slightly reminded me of that vibe. I know it's actually pieces instead of tiles, but it definitely gave me that feel.
Yeah, I think the other thing with this on how the game plays is it's very easy to pick up. But it sounds quite confusing when you explain it. Like the teach is not always as straightforward, but actually once you've got 2 rounds in, everyone knows what they're doing. And for new players and for like new gamers and for experienced gamers, the smoothness of the play once you get started is there.
Yes.
You'll have some moments where I think you struggle because you're literally waiting for like to make a sensible decision and you get a tile and you don't want to place it on your board. But that's going to happen in almost any game.
Yes. Yeah. I think so.
I think there's definitely an interest level there with how the game plays, how the mechanics interact, and how the players interact.
Yeah, very much so. You can be willing so much for someone to move their
Please
2 giraffe.
give me the double
Move me the 2 giraffe. And they're like, I'm going to move the 3 rhinos. And you're like, no!
Okay, so the game, I think, plays well for new players.
Yes.
It sits in that light to medium category really nicely, and I think it's a really smooth game.
Yeah.
How about artwork and graphic design?
Okay, so I have a dig with this game, and so I've always played the blue colour. So there are 3, so there are 4 colours. There's like an orangey, kind of tanny brown, reddy colour. There's a grey colour. There's a dark grey, navy bluey dark grey, and then there's like a bright blue, which is fine. It's fantastic. If when you turn the blue over, you can't see, you really struggle to see the watering holes, and it makes, when you're trying to work out the points, that I feel could, of all the colours that they could have used, blue with a blue watering hole, it just makes it harder, especially, you know, if you're a new gamer, it makes it more difficult to quickly spot where the watering holes are. So for me, that was one thing that really was glaringly obvious. Yeah,
I think from a graphic design point of view, it's just that little bit is clumsy. You picked a colour that's quite close to the watering hole colour.
Yeah.
And so when you flip it onto the coloured side as you settle it in place, it's not impossible to see and it's playable. It's just, it could just be sharper and it didn't need to be that clumsy.
No.
It's a shame. For me, the artwork is a little simplistic. It's not my preferred style of art, but then at the same time, like the animals are clear. Yeah. But yeah, the art is a little bit simplistic, a little bit cartoony. And if that's your style, you'll really appreciate this. Yeah. However, if it's not your thing, I prefer a little more realism in my art. This is a bit, it just doesn't quite tick the box for me.
The artwork for me puts it at more of a family game.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Than just a light to medium, weighted game. And the artwork rarely has an effect, but in this game, the artwork for me amends it in its game type, in my opinion.
It fits the game type?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. So, theme.
Well, it's a difficult one, isn't it? I mean, I haven't been to the savannah yet, so next time we go to Africa,
we'll let you know.
Yeah, I'll let you know. But I mean, herds gathering around a watering hole, that's accurate. If you're going to score your largest herd,
yeah.
The fact that the different animals mix, don't know whether they would. I'm not sure.
I don't know. Thematically it's light, it's not heavy on theme.
No.
If you're willing to say that the theme is just some nice pictures, I think you're all right. If you try and dig deeper on the theme, you're probably not going to see an awful lot of theme there. So, it's fair, and I think that's a lot of abstract strategy games. Azul, I think, is almost themeless. So yeah, I think that's kind of fine. So at the start of this video, Kirsty mentioned a list of 11, technically 12 games.
10, technically 11.
No, 11, technically 12, because both of the crews are two separate games.
Oh, okay.
And they were games that roughly came in around the same price point and around the same weight, with 3 games standing out as being tile laying games. So what do we think compared to that list? Where does this sit?
For me, as I said at the start, there's only really tiny towns and bingo, like you said, that have that. Everything else, all the other games have you're choosing your tiles from a stack, like for example in Cascadia, or Azul, you're picking them from the factories. It's all preset. The fact that you have the power to choose the tile, I think, is actually quite a unique mechanism in this style of game.
I think that's fair.
And for that, I find it difficult to compare it to other games, because I do think it adds that variety. And it makes it different from the other standard tile laying games that are out there for me.
So I think there's a place for this when you compare it to Azul, Carcassonne and Cascadia. Cascadia, obviously, I think will draw the most similarities, just because it's still about animals and habitats. So you've got a similar theme going on there. For me, I probably prefer this to Cascadia, knowing that I'm mentioning one of Kirsty's favourite games at the moment. But I think I prefer this. I think it's a bit more interesting for me.
So I think that the artwork and the graphic design is tighter in the other 3 games that we've mentioned.
I think that's true.
And I think, for me, that... because I've always ended up playing blue, and it's so ridiculous, but that has affected my opinion of the game. So next time I'll play a different colour. But it shouldn't have, but it does affect the gameplay. But I still think I want it in the collection because of the fact of its difference of variance.
Stop beating about the bush. Do you prefer it to Cascadia or do you prefer Cascadia?
I don't think you can compare them, because the choice of the Cascadia
You can absolutely compare the
tiles,
fun you're having with the game, which I think is actually really important.
I've played Cascadia more than this. And
come on,
Cascadia doesn't have a player board that has the same colour. No, I don't know. I do think it's got more variety over things like Carcassonne.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's a step up from that. Do I prefer it to Cascadia? No. I don't prefer it to Cascadia, but
that's fine.
I like the variance in this tile selection.
That's absolutely fine.
That's how I feel about it.
This is how hard it is to get an opinion out of Kirsty. For me, we've got that list of 11 games, and I think the big question is, where do you spend your money? This very much is an entry-level game, I think, for families. A family game rather than entry-level. It's a family weight game. Yeah. It does a lot of things right. I would say out of all of those things in that list, if you've not bought Ticket to Ride Europe yet, you'd probably pick that up before this. After that, I think it's entirely up to you. Yeah. I think this fits in quite nicely and is absolutely worth the £30 price tag, and you'll have a lot of fun with this game. Hours of fun with this game.
One thing I would say is the setup of this game is so quick due to the fact that the player pieces are all in boxes. I just think this graphic design idea, the fact that it's just...
There you go.
It's wonderful. It fits in with the image underneath, so you know where it all fits in. This, it's just literally pass a box and pass a player board.
And start putting tiles on the board.
That is so much quicker than a lot of the tile laying setups. So in some terms, actually, this is much quicker to keep a family entertained. You know, if you've only got a short amount of time.
You get it to the table pretty quickly. Yeah. I think that's fair to say.
So in terms of if you want a quick setup, if you want an easy to pick up game once you've done a few rounds, and if you want something that's slightly different, yes, go and buy a copy of this game.
Okay, and for me, if you want something that provides an instant puzzle that's really challenging and really tricky and really frustrating at times, actually, if you don't like games that leave you feeling frustrated, this is not a game you should pick up. However, if you like a puzzle that leaves you a little bit frustrated and leaves you with ultimately a myriad of suboptimal moves during your turn that you've got to pick the best of the bad bunch almost.
Yeah.
This is a game that I think you will like, and the fact that you could probably put this out and play it with your family.
Yeah.
Like we've played it recently with non-gamers, and they got the game.
They got it, yeah.
Absolutely.
First 2 rounds it was like, what?
Yeah.
But then suddenly it was just like bang, 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 bang. You know, it was just going, and it gets into a pattern, a rhythm, and it's just play, 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 and it almost builds in speed and tempo, and it's like, oh, what's going to be produced? Oh my gosh, I'm getting less and less and less. What are my options? And it creates that exciting vibe.
Yeah, for me, it's as a experienced gamer, it's a game that I will enjoy if I put it out with inexperienced gamers, because I know I'm going to enjoy the puzzle aspect. And I can just throttle back my play as well, so that I don't score too highly and can keep the game interesting and competitive for all around the table. So there's a reason that, you know, that's the kind. If you're looking for that type of game, this is a good choice for you. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.
Don't forget, we're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for Ludus Vulpes.
Thank you for your time today.
See you soon, everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye.